Yu-Gi-Oh! Is one of the most difficult trading card games to get into. With over 10,000 different cards and so many different products to choose from, where do you even begin? Using a budget of just £30 a week, I set out to mould my own deck and climb the competitive ladder all the way to the European Championships. The challenge? All my cards have to be obtained through sealed official products. I'm not allowed to trade, I'm not allowed to buy cards individually, and instead have to rely on the cold, hard luck of the draw. You're watching Yu-Gi-Oh! From scratch. Today is the day. To earn our place at the European Championship, we first have to top a regional event. So that's exactly what we're going to do in this episode. We're going to take our dragons down to the FALKIRK regional, rain fire, and burn them all. In the series so far, we've learned that it's very important to get a good sleep in order to play well, so thanks to the contributions of our Patreons and channel members, we could afford to head over the night before and spend the night at a cheap hotel in order to maximise our potential. Speaking of contributions, a big thanks going out to Raikado, Steven Xie, Aaron XDD, Steel Claw, Sam O'Farrell, Twice01, Dragons Light 1998, and Jens Bake. Your contributions are much appreciated and, like I said, are actually directly boosting the performance of our deck at these events. So it's not just me playing the tournament, it's all of us. To make your own contribution, links are, as always, in the description. So, today is our last chance to get Crusadia Maximus. The power and playstyle of our deck literally depends on what we pull today, so cross your goddamn fingers. Also, smash the like button, because if you don't, then we probably won't get it. That's how YouTube works, right? I kind of agree now that it definitely would have been the safer option to just go for Cybernetic Horizon, but I didn't expect it to be so difficult to pull the Magi we need. I was blinded by the opportunity to pull other bits like the Dangers and Called by the Graves, so if we do scuff it, it's totally my own fault. I was just trying to be efficient, man. Ah, right, enough whinging. Let's get this over with. Okay, are you ready for another round of disappointment? 2 gold sarcophagus megatins, £15 each. That's our budget gone. You know, you could say we've spent like £90 in total on these tins trying to get Maximus, and it's a 99p card, so buy singles. To be fair though, it's not quite as simple as that because we have been trying to get other cards other than just Maximus, so I don't know, it kind of balances out. Speaking of other cards, we do still need another Danger Snake, 2 more Crusadia Maximus, Reclusia, I believe, and 2 Called by the Grave would be nice. Oh, and a 3rd copy of Dark Ruler No More, because it's kind of essential for the side deck now with spiral boards being a thing. That being said, we can still actually get by without any of these cards, because our deck will still function. The big thing for today is Maximus. I did do a little research and it turns out there's 29 different prismatic secret rares in this set, so our chances of pulling it are actually quite low. I really should have looked into that before the whole buying tins idea, but you know, hindsight is 20/20. And here we have Nibiru, so I believe that makes like 5 now, and a couple of god cards. I'm not going to complain at all the Nibirus because it is a valuable card, so when it comes to selling the collection at the end, we're going to be rolling in stonks, my guys. So here we have Exodia, Red Eyes Alternative, and I thought that was going to be another Nibiru, Dimension Shifter, Obelisk, and Ra. So now we can start on the Depression, the last gamble if you will, the Mega Packs. So we've got Cybernetic Overflow, FA Winners, World Legacies Nightmare, Watchcat, Mamimaki, Link Devotee, Altergeist Kidolga for the rare, World Lance, Super, Ibli for the Ultra, and Danger Response team for the Secret. And another Spatha and a bunch of commons. Not gonna lie, I was a little bit hopeful that we would get it in the first pack, just so we could get rid of the stress, but it's gone down to the wire. Vendread Nightmare, Terrifying Toddler of Torment, Link Turret, FA Dark Dragster, Tornado, Goki Face Turn, Sacred Knight of King Custonin, we got Candle, Nightmare Unicorn again, and Danger Jackalope. How many of them have we got? It's not a bad pack at all. I think Jackalope's actually starting to go up in price along with a lot of all the other Dangers now because of Spiral, I believe? I could be wrong, but it pretty much pays for the tin by itself. Here we've got another Shiny Meowth, Mind Meld, Awaken the Dragon, Goki Ring Trainer, FA Overheat, Big Furry Falgo, DDDDD, Widow Anchor, and Ray, followed by a Care Bear holding a lollipop apparently. Oh god, we're halfway done, and still no Magius. Man, we go through these packs so quickly, it's actually ridiculous. I think at this rate, if we don't pull it, then we're just going to FALKIRK with sealed only Dream Mirrors. Imagine that, we get all the way down to Euros, and then we just play Dream Mirrors for the content. At least that way you guys would shut up about it. We got Brotaur Sword, and another... Oh my god, another Jackalope. Okay, so we have like 5 Jackalopes as well now. One thing's for sure, we've definitely plussed off these tins, I can tell you that. So on to the second last pack of sadness here, we've got Beast Magic Attack, another Cybernetic Overflow, Limit Code, Nightmare, Struggle, Snuggle, Mamimaki, we have a big frog picking his nose, Bookstone, Thunder Dragon, Colossus, oh, we've been saved! Yes! Oh, dude, thank God. You don't know how happy I am to see that. Oh, we needed that so badly. It just had to be in one of the last packs, didn't it? Oh my god, I lost all hope. But we've been blessed by Deck Mommy. Boys, the final pack, I could not care less what is in here. We've got what we came for. Dragunity Senatus, Vendread Nightmare, Dragunity Legion, Link Turret, I think we got like 5 of those now, Heartless Drop-Off, another Tornado, Cyberse Clock Dragon, it's time to Super Doom King, Herald of the Abyss for the Ultra, and Danger Mothman for the Seeker. I don't care, we got Magius, we're done here. I'm already putting together the deck list in my head, man, this is huge for the series, so let's go build our deck finally. Right, so before we get into the actual deck profile, I want to point out a couple of things. So in episode 17, I showed you how the Crusadia engine works, and that's the engine we're going to be using now that we have Magius, but I didn't make clear what the end board was. The goal is to be able to make a board of Spheres, Savage, and Hope Harbinger every time we go first. To make that happen, we need our deck to be super consistent, and for an engine requiring any Crusadia card in any extender, I felt like we were missing something. Originally, I was only playing about 5 Crusadia cards in the deck, which netted us a 50% chance of seeing 1 in our opening hand. After messing around with the probability calculator, it turns out that with 9 Crusadia cards, there's a 75% chance of opening 1. So by cutting a few bricks and sticking in some extra Crusadia cards that we've pulled, the consistency has pretty much skyrocketed, and I feel we fixed the deck. Also, while we're speaking about percentages, apparently 57.5% of you watching are not subscribed. Unacceptable! So if there's one thing you do today, make sure it's to subscribe and tickle my bell. On to the deck list. Right, so I'm going to go through the deck list now, and if you don't fancy watching the deck profile part of the video, then feel free to skip forward a few minutes. There will be a text version in the description. So of course, starting off, we have our Crusadia package. We have 3 Draco, 2 Arboria, 1 Maximus, 1 Reclusia, and 1 Leonis. Surprisingly, out of all the openings we've done, we've only opened 8 Crusadia cards, so I couldn't quite get to the 9 I spoke about earlier. But 8 will do. The great thing about the engine is that when I say Crusadia card plus extender, the Crusadia cards themselves are extenders, so that's what makes it so consistent. Next up, we have the Danger package in the form of 2 Jackalope, 1 Nessie, and 1 Snake, because obviously we didn't pull the second Snake, but we managed to pull 5 Jackalopes somehow. Honestly though, the Danger package isn't completely necessary for the deck, it's literally just to summon to a Magius zone, so they're pretty good targets for siding out. Moving on to the Rokket package now, we have 1 Absorouter, 1 Magnarokket, 1 Rokket Recharger, and 1 Rokket Tracer. I did cut out the second one. So this way we are keeping Quick Launch live in the deck, but at the same time we're also increasing consistency. Speaking of Tracer, our first wave of YouTube channel members have started getting their first badge upgrade, and it looks really nice in the comments. Moving on here though, we have the one of mandatory combo pieces, so Amorphage Goliath, Galactic Spiral Dragon, and Red Eyes Darkness Metal. You guys already know exactly what these cards do, so we shall move on to the rest of the one-offs. There's so many one-offs in this deck, like when you look at the deck list, it just looks so strange. But starting off here, we have Tempest, and sadly, our secret Tempest is very, very warped. So I think for the regional, I'm going to have to swap this one out for a rare just in its place. Otherwise, someone will find something to complain about. So next up, we have the Baby Chaos Dragons, black and white. These are actually playable now because a lot of our deck is dark if we open the white, and if we open the black, then the Crusadia engine puts lights in our graveyard anyway, so they're both playable. We've also got Brotaur, followed by Galaxy Serpent and World Chalice Guardragon, which might seem a little bit weird when we're not playing the IB engine. By playing these cards, we're making Dragon Shrine extra versatile because we can use it as an extender by sending these two to get a free summon if we need it. So that means 25 monsters in the main deck in total. And so moving on to the spells here, we of course have 3 Quick Launch, 3 Dragon Shrine, basically same as usual, 2 World Legacy Guardragon, which is also really nice because if the opponent for some reason negates Spatha, we can still get the zone change, 1 Foolish Burial, 1 Called by the Grave, and then onto the mandatory one-offs we have Dragon Ravine and Boot Sector Launch. So that's 12 spells, leaving us with just 3 spaces left in the deck. And you know it, we're still playing our traps. We have Solemn Strike, Crackdown, and Lost Wind. If I could, I would play 3 Judgment, but there's no point searching for the Judgment because we're going to be taking these out anyway. They've worked really well for the deck so far and really throw people off guard because they don't know whether to side in 20s or what my deck does, or, you know, it's great, even if they are just placeholders. The extra deck really hasn't changed that much. Since we're not playing Deck Mommy anymore, Lampholinkus really isn't that good, so I swapped that out for Scarlight for time. I've also really started noticing how insane Striker Dragon and Romulus are as a combination. Like, in terms of card advantage, just getting free searches out of nowhere is nuts. Finally, I've renovated the side deck to match the current format, so we have 3 Nibiru and 2 Dark Ruler No More, 1 Reboot, 3 20s and Cosmic Cyclone for back rowish kind of decks, Pancratops, Phantasmate, Gamma Seal, and 2 Ash Blossom. Overall, I'm actually feeling really confident with this list. I feel like it's possibly the best and most consistent list we have available to us with all our cards, and I'm actually looking forward to FALKIRK now. Also, you might have already noticed, but I forgot to add this in before, we needed to get some new card sleeves because it's been 4.5 months since we started this and our sleeves are starting to get a little bit grubby. And for the regional, you don't want to get any complaints like that, so we've spent £6 that we don't technically have on some more Crimson Dragon Shields. So we're going to take that £6 out of next week's budget. For the extra deck, we're using some of the Ash Blossom sleeves we got from our visit to Konami's office, so thank you, Konami. Also, finally, before we head down to FALKIRK, if you guys are fancying some more Scottish content, then quick shout outs to TCG Tally.
Hey, yo, guys.
I know a lot of you guys are fans of Heroes, and he's a big Heroes player. He's been putting in the grind for over a year and deserves a little bit of love, so go let him know I sent you. Link to his channel is, of course, in the description. But it's time. It's been a proper roller coaster up until this point. They took our Agar Pain, they took her Deck Mommy, but still here we are. It's one thing to say our deck will never die. It's now time to prove it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's do this. So round 1 here, we lose the die roll unfortunately, and we're up against Salamon Great. He chooses to go first, and looking at our initial hand, it's not terrible, but it's not great, so it all depends on what we draw for turn. I believe there's 60 players in this regional, meaning 6 rounds of Swiss, and to guarantee your top, you need 5 wins. So he kicks things off with a Salamon Great Circle searching for Gazelle and then normal summons Jack Jaguar. From there he summons backup Secretary from his hand, and this is the point where I realize things are going to get interesting. Linking Secretary into Balinx, he searches for the field spell and then links both Balinx and Jack Jaguar into Sunlight Wolf, triggering his Gazelle in hand. With Gazelle he sends Will of the Salamon Great to the graveyard, then activating the field spell he reincarnates Sunlight Wolf to add it back to hand. He summons back Jack Jaguar through its own effect, and then links both Gazelle and Jaguar into Update Jammer. Using Will, he revives Jack Jaguar, then links both Update Jammer and Jack Jaguar into Transcode Talker, which revives Update Jammer. Take a shot every time I said Jack Jaguar, by the way, but with a single back row he passes turn, so not your standard Salamon Great board. Basically, while all his monsters are co-linked, they all have an attack boost and none of them can be targeted by card effects. So drawing for turn, we get a Solemn Strike, which really isn't helping with the weird hand situation, but it will come in handy for preventing recovery. Starting with the normal summon of Crusadia Draco, I link into Magius and then reveal Jackalope. Losing Red MD is a risk we have to take here, but he ends up hitting the Galactic Spiral Dragon, which is literally best case scenario for us. So Jackalope summons and draws us into a Dragon Shrine, which is actually really nice, and then the effect of Magius triggers searching for a Crusadia monster, but he hits that with Salamon Great Roar. It kinda hurts, but we can still make some plays, so I activate Dragon Shrine, sending Galaxy Serpent and Tempest to the graveyard. Activating the effect of Tempest to summon itself from graveyard, I then banish it to summon Red MD from hand. Using the effect of Red MD, I summon Tracer from hand, giving me 2 Dark Dragons on the field, allowing me to then special summon Galactic Spiral Dragon as well. Tracer pops Jackalope, getting me a level 4 rocket from the deck, and I misplay here. I could end on Savage with 1 Negate and Dingirsu, but instead I make Striker Dragon for some reason. After adding Boot Sector Launch, I realise I've kinda locked myself out the extra monster zone, so I use the effect of Striker Dragon to pop itself and add back Recharger. Now with the effect of Spiral, I make Ding, sending his Transcode Talker to the graveyard because it doesn't target, and then attack with both monsters over Sunlight Wolf. Finally, we set a Solemn Strike and pass it over to him, hoping for the best. He starts off with an unexpected Raigeki, so we protect with Ding, and then he uses Will to summon Gazelle, but we strike the effect of Gazelle. After that, he manages to build his way up to a Heatleo, but he can't really do anything with it, so he just passes turn. Top decking into a World Legacy Guardragon, there's so many different plays I can make. We eventually get to a Borrelsword and kill him. Game 2, he goes first again and starts off with a Flame Bufferlo linked into Balinx, and we get the biggest Phantasme of our lives. At the end of your main phase, you love to see it, man. Easy game. He did give us a little bit of a spook though, because as we went in for the kill, he flips Magic Cylinder. Man, it takes me back to episode 1. Thankfully, we still had enough damage on board for OTK, so round 1 goes to us. Whew, good start boys, we're taking this one round at a time, let's not get too overconfident now. Round 2, we actually end up against one of our own Aberdeen boys down at table 1. It's a real shame because, you know, coming out of it one of us has to lose and that could cost you the whole tournament. That has me worried because Walker is a very good player and you guys know him as the boy from episode 2 or 3 that used the menu as the playmat, so you won't be surprised he's playing Salad. He of course wins a die roll and chooses to go first. It's a bit more of your average Salamangreat build compared to round 1, so the combos are pretty standard. He ends on a board of Sunlight Wolf, Balinx in one back row. Top decking into a World Legacy Guardragon for turn, I'd say our hand is actually pretty stacked. We have loads of good options and we have full access to our Crusadia engine. So starting off, I normal summon Leonis and link into Magius, and I'm about to show you another reason why Crusadias are so good. Summoning Reclusia to Magius' zone, I can activate Magius as Chainlink 1 and Reclusia as Chainlink 2. Reclusia can pop himself along with any card your opponent controls, so not only have I chain blocked Magius, I've also baited out his back row. So adding a Draco off of Magius, Walker drops a Droll in Lockbird. Very popular card this format because of Spiral. I think almost everyone is main decking it, but with the right hand we can play straight through it. So I activate Dragon Shrine, sending Serpent and Spiral, and then World Legacy Guardragon to revive the Serpent. I do kind of forget that I've just been drolled because here I would just automatically go into Striker Dragon for the free search, but obviously there's no takesies backsies at a regional, so it was just a waste of a summon. It really doesn't matter though, because the main reason I was doing that was to get a Dark in the graveyard for Wyverburster. Long story short, he had no other interruptions, so we could just keep popping off until we got to a board that would wipe him out. Game 2, he went for the old bait and switch and made me go first. Our hand is pretty sick and he opened no interruptions, so I'm going to show you our combo in action. So we have our engine in the form of 2 Crusadia cards, so I normal summon Arboria and link into Magius, then special summon Reclusia to Magius' zone. Magius fetches Draco from deck, and then we link both monsters into Spatha, allowing us to summon Draco to Spatha's zone. Using the effect of Draco to get Arboria back to hand, we then link into LP and use Spatha to move the zones of LP to summon Red MD from deck. That gets us to our Saryuja, but the draws on Saryuja aren't amazing. We do get an Ash though. Yes, I thought we were going to be made to go second, so I have all my going second cards in the deck. Using Saryuja to summon Draco from hand, I link into Pisty, who revives Red MD, who revives Draco back from the graveyard. Now we no longer need Saryuja, so we link Draco and Saryuja off for Romulus, Search and Dragon Ravine. Ravine gets Spiral to the graveyard, who we can then instantly summon and activate its effect, making everything level 8, giving us a Hope Harbinger. Next we can link Pisty and Romulus for Spheres, and then end on a quick launch for Tracer, who gets us to our Savage. Not bad, especially with an Ash in hand. So passing it over to him, he starts by by kaijuing our Savage. Next up, he normal summons Foxy, so we activate the effect of Spheres to bounce it back to hand. Summoning a Phantasme off the Spheres effect, he then activates a Desires, which we Ash. He has nothing left after that, so he just sets 2 back row and passes turn. So I actually throw the game here because I normal summon Rokket Recharger, which we draw for turn, and then link Recharger and Phantasme into Phoenix. So not only should I have made Striker Dragon first to search for boot sector launch, I also got rid of our protection to target in effects like Salaman Great Rage. So with no resources or recovery left on my side, it was easy enough for him to break through and grind out the win. Game 3. There's actually not a clock in the venue, so we have no idea how close we are to the end of the round, but I'm pretty confident it's fairly soon. So we're going first, and with Scarlight in the extra deck, if time does get called, then we're laughing. But time doesn't get called, and this is where we're at after getting hit by an Ash and a Phantasme. I decide to just summon Goliath off Soyuja and call it a day because Salad can't really do anything with a Goliath on the field. I also summoned it to the wrong zone. I should have put it in Soyuja's zone for the attack buff. But I also have a Crackdown and an Ash, so I should be safe even if Phantasme does kind of stop the Crackdown. The one huge issue with this is the fact that I have Pisty on the board, and Pisty is weak. He can just attack over it and time will get called, and that's game. Passing over to him, I'm getting super nervous because every card he activates is a few extra seconds on the clock. He starts off with an Upstart Goblin, giving me 1,000 life points and putting me in the lead in game 3 with no timer in sight. It's a super risky move, but attacking over Pisty with Phantasme would still get him game. Next up, he activates Desires, obviously trying to draw into some kind of out to Goliath, but I drop the Ash Blossom. He then normal summons Flame Buffalo and finally goes to the battle phase. Like I said, attacking over Pisty with Phantasme puts him in the lead, but I don't think he realizes how much time is left on the clock. Literally because there's no timer, he's still worrying about Goliath, so he swings Buffalo into Goliath. I actually can't believe it. Obviously he's trying to draw through his deck for an out, but it's way too risky, because 20 seconds later into his main phase 2,
Yugioh players, best time on the round.
that's another win to us. Sorry Walker, I love you. It's a crappy way to win, especially against one of your own guys, but 2 down, 3 to go. Like I said, 1 round at a time. So round 3, we lose the 3rd die roll in a row.
Wow, Snake Eyes.
He makes us go first, and our hand is insane. We even have Called by the Grave, so we're protected from like Ash. He does drop a draw when we add off Magius, but obviously we chain Called by the Grave. From there he lets us just combo off with no further interruptions, and on the Soyuja we even draw into Lost Wind. So we get to our typical end board with an additional set Lost Wind, and I guess wait and see if he can break it. The first thing he does, you can't actually see it because it's just off camera, but he activates Super Poly, or attempts to activate Super Poly. Because we only end on 1 dark, there's nothing you can Super Poly using our board. Oh, how the mighty has fallen. Remember when Super Poly used to be the bane of our existence in the early episodes? Ah, it feels good to not care about that anymore. He activates Cyber Emergency, which we negate and attach with Harbinger, and he scoops up game 1. So yeah, we're against Cyber Dragons. Game 2, he chooses to go second again, in typical Cyber Dragon fashion, so let's see if he has better luck this time. Our hand is looking pretty stacked again, so he's gonna need something like Nibiru. He lets us combo off, however, when we get to the Saryuja, he drops an Imperm. It kind of hurts our resource game, but our hand was so good that it still doesn't matter. We do sadly have to discard the Crackdown for Dragon Ravine, but with no other interruption on his side, we get to our full board again. In his standby phase, I activate the effect of Spheres, bouncing Ravine back to my hand to summon Goliath from the deck. There's literally nothing he can do because if he tries to attack over it, Harbinger just redirects the attack. So a very convincing win to us. Boys, we are currently 3-0. 2 more wins for the guaranteed top. The dream is real right now. We get a nice little halftime break to revitalize and down another energy drink so we can stay focused. The pressure is starting to pile on now, but let's keep it up. Round 4. Before the round starts, we get hit with a deck check.
You what? Oh, right, okay.
I was absolutely bricking it at this point because I thought I'd done something wrong. Just imagine though, we came this far and did so well just to throw it all away because we made a stupid mistake. But thankfully that is not the case. It turns out my opponent had their deck list wrong. They'd written in Orchestrated Babel instead of Orchestrated Return, so they had to stick in some side deck cards and start with a game loss. It's definitely a nice head start, but we're not quite out of the water yet. For the 4th round in a row, we lose the die roll and he's going first. Once again, we have an incredible incredible hand, so I'm feeling pretty confident depending on what he puts out. Scrap Recycler is definitely a good start because that's guaranteed access to his Orchest engine. Sending Nightmare, which then sends World Legacy World Wand, which has a second ability that I didn't know about. It specials a World Legacy card from the hand, which is a second World Wand he summons. From there he reveals a Nessie in hand, which we actually managed to snipe, so he searches for Jackalope. It's actually a really bad glare, so you can't really see what's going on. I apologize for that, but basically he does all his Orchest plays and ends on Babel with Masquerena and Jackalope. I top deck an Arboria for turn and feel like my hand's so stacked with extenders that I can just play through all the interruptions he would have. So in my standby phase, he activates Nightmare to send Skeleton from deck to grave, making his Dingirsu live. So I think, yeah, let's just go for it. I normal summon Crusadia Draco and link into Magius. But as soon as I summon Magius, he activates Skeleton to summon Dingirsu from the graveyard, and then using the effect of Dingirsu, he attaches back Skeleton. Then on resolution, he uses the effect of Masquerena to link everything into Topologic's Ouroboros. He definitely shotgunned it a bit too early, but I'm assuming he thought I was playing pure Crusadia, in which case that would actually be quite a decent move. Something I don't understand is the fact that Orchest kind of relies on Babel, and Ouroboros banishes the whole field, so you're kind of getting rid of your own Babel. Regardless, I'm going to approach this the way Sam did in episode 1.
Let's activate that effect. Banish everything.
Playing straight into it, we still get the search off Magius, and his board is left empty. So searching for Draco, I just need to get 8,000 damage on the board. Quick launch for Magnarokket gets us to Striker Dragon, which searches as Boot Sector launch. Dragon Shrine for Absorouter gets us Tracer in hand, which we can summon with Boot Sector launch. Linking Tracer and Striker for Romulus, we get Ravine, and we can summon both Crusadia monsters to Romulus's arrows, getting us the Boral Sword. Ravine, Pitch Lost Wind, dump Tempest, and down comes the handshake, boys. 4-0! It's very possible that we do get an invite with this record thanks to tiebreakers, but it's also a possibility that we don't. In order to secure our place at the European Championships, we need one more win. Dude, we've actually been blessed. It's just meant to be. We actually finally won a die roll and we were able to make, like, the sickest board today. Set Called by the Grave and set Solemn Strike, by the way. There's absolutely no chance he's playing through this, but he starts by normal summoning Stratos. Removing their normal summon and preventing a search against heroes is huge, so Solemn Strike is perfect here. He follows it up with a Fusion Destiny, which we negate and suck with Harbinger, so he scoops up game 1. Game 2. I'm not lying when I say it's meant to be. He gets to a decent board of Plasma and Sunriser, but crumbles to the 4 words hero players hate to hear. End of main phase. He does still manage to use Miracle Fusion to get our absolute 0, so that's something for me to play around. But with a good hand and no real interruption, it's no problem at all. Down comes the handshake as we secure our spot at the European Championships. We actually bloody did it. Round 6 we played against Spiral, but the boy didn't want to be recorded, which is fair enough. My brain was fried at this point and I basically threw the game in multiple ways. So we ended up 2nd place with a 5-1 record. I hope you're proud of me, boys. We did it for Deck Mommy. So plugging all of today's results into the win-lose ratio, we've actually smashed it. It could have very easily went the other way, but RevzCards 2020, baby. Oh man, what an episode it's been, and we actually have prize packs for the first time in forever. That's what the footage in the background is. I'm just talking over it just now. It's actually such a weight off my shoulders knowing that we have our spot at Euros now. You don't know how difficult it was to not post any spoilers, but I feel so lost now that we've achieved that milestone. Like, Euros is still 4 months away, and while there is still a lot of work we need to do to the deck, I don't really feel rushed anymore. So I think we're gonna chill for a bit and let you guys decide what we go for. Remember, next week's budget is only £24 because of the extra sleeves we bought today. I think I'll choose for episode 20 and then you guys can decide for the rest. Your options are to hunt for Apollousa, the bow mommy, because I'm pretty sure there is a way to incorporate her to our end board. It might be through needle fiber, but we'll see. I need to work it out. But your other option is to hunt for our playset of Starliege Seafort. Obviously, going for 3 Seafort is going to take much longer than going for 1 Apollousa, but it's kind of like consistency versus power in terms of what they do for the deck. But yeah, let me know what you want us to go for in the comment section below and I will make it happen. While we're just having a little chat here, I do want to say that we're almost at 20k subscribers already. We started the year with about 13,500 and our goal for 2020 was to hit 20k. And we're pretty much just about to smash it already. I've got a lot of cool ideas for like a 20,000 special video, including lots of cool giveaways and potentially sealed only dream mirrors. As a one-off now, don't get too excited, I'm not doing a full series. So yeah, you might want to help share the channel around and bump up those numbers as quickly as possible. As always, I want to say a massive thank you for all the support you guys have shown me. We're hitting new personal records every month and it's absolutely blowing me away. We're now over 1 million total views on the channel and that's just insane. But yeah, I don't want to keep you any longer, so I will see you in the next video, which should be part 2 of the Shaddoll Showdown decks. Bye.